28th of January, second part of the US session. Good evening from Europe. Good afternoon, good morning, maybe, wherever you are. Piotr here, and this is the Light Forex Global YouTube channel, and we are doing the mid-New York session update. Some kind of the ideas I have around. We were discussing previously the gaps we've seen in US. So looks like S&P already closed the gap, right? As you can see over here, the gap been closed. Okay, right here. We have some kind of the rejection. So I placed my first sell order around that gap when it comes to the retest, right? It might be a little bit lower, it might be with the stop hand a little bit higher. So I do have my sell order right around 3,279, all right, the first one, as well as I do have some additional one, right, in case of, I don't know, great rally, right? So I have one around 3,300 on S&P, and we were discussing I'm interested in S&P and DJ, okay? So that's why I'm watching very, very carefully here. Well, I'm going to trade with the stop above 3,315, all right? So a little bit wider than what we usually get, okay? But my target is also going to be unusual, right? I'm going to target the levels close to 3,200. So if I'm going to be filled on both, my average entry is going to be around the 90, right? My stop is going to be above 15, right? So something like 25, 30 points, but my target is going to be like 100, right? That's how I see that in 3%, nothing, well, I think we might get there, especially if we are going to make it one-to-one. So that's the thing I'm watching here on S&P already with some orders. I'm quite okay with that possible scenario. Now, we were discussing previously cable, so let's switch to the cable for a second, okay? Because very interesting things are going on here as well. So market is trying to hold this over-under. Market is trying from the lower time frame perspective, right? Market is trying to hold, okay, some over-under. So what I'm looking for after this huge sell-off, especially when it comes to the intraday trading, I'm looking for the zone, this one, to hold, right? So anything in relation to the shadows, that's my possible buying zone, right? So 29.85, 29.80, 29.75, that's the levels I'm going to look for from the buying perspective. Then, of course, I'm not waiting for huge rally. What I'm looking for is the retest of this weekly open and a bit below. So my target is going to be around 30.40, 30.60, and then depends on the price action around this level. I might decide simple to take the profit and eventually to turn around and try to look for a selling opportunity, okay, over here. The thing is we have FOMC tomorrow and Bank of England on Thursday. So we have to have in the back of our head that is also end of the month flow related to the end of the month. So, well, a little bit higher volatility is expected here. Okay. In case of the daily close above 3060, 3075, the cable might turn bullish. Okay. Plenty of things going on when it comes to the coronavirus. When we are talking about the China, here the thing is that we have 4 cases in Paris, in France, right? So the things really look seriously, right? But what we have? We have this time, as of now, retest of this weekly supply zone, right? Based on the weekly chart. And as you can see, today we have some kind of profit taking, right? So what I'm gonna to look for when it comes to the risk on, risk off, I'm going to watch those 2 candles from the very beginning of the 2020. Okay, so I'm going to look for 697, 695, right, as a first possible demand. So we are not going to discover the America, but that's the 50% of that candle, and theoretically we should hold that level, right? If that's the case, if we are going to hold that level, right, we might see some kind of the rally on the dollar Chinese yuan. Okay, and of course the next target is going to be psychological 7 and 705, and that could produce risk of sentiment on the market. So when we are talking about the risk of sentiment on the market, let's have a look what we have on the gold, right? Huge spike higher 3 weeks ago, then the pullback, right? But let's discuss the daily chart. Okay, what is going on? I'm going to prepare the separate educational webinar. Is some kind of the over-under, right? And very interesting story is going on. Here, same as with indices, we close the gap on the gold, right? But watch out, guys, the gold, and in my opinion, some kind of the buying levels are around 1540, right? So we already seen after the huge pullback, right? Let's have a look if the 1540 can hold again, and then 1620 is going to be retested on the gold. Okay, and finally let's have a look what we have from the crude perspective. Okay, still, if you remember, 32 is my final target based on the higher time frames, right? But let's have a look what we have from the intraday perspective. I've been thinking that here, right, we might see some kind of the bounce, but looks like only last Thursday, we've seen the attempt to go higher, lower shadow, right? So the market is trying to close the gap as almost everywhere, right? Okay, cool, I'm fine with that, but I'm not interested with that level. So what I'm looking for a little bit bigger rally, 54, 70, 55 based on the chart I'm using, and it's going to be in relation to those lower shadows over here. And so I'm not interested here, right? That's not in my interest. Fine, we close the gap, but I'm looking for a selling opportunity a little bit higher. Okay, I'm looking for selling opportunity 54, 70, 55, 30, and then my first target is gonna be that low, this low, right, towards 50. I'm looking for a stop count and the levels towards 50, maybe a little bit below. If the market will manage to close below 50, all right, if market will manage to close below 50 when it comes to the crude, right, if we are going to close below that level, we might see stop count towards 42 as a next possible target. But overall, the discussion is going to take the place based on that consolidation, as we might double that consolidation. So that's my first target, 42. Guys, don't be trapped. I'm going to get back to you tomorrow with another update ahead of the FOMC. Have a great evening, take care and good night.